Okay, so what I'm going to do is just analyze a few clips from one of the weekend trainings. This camera is actually slightly broken. It's being sent back for a replacement because it's a bit jerky with its frame rate, but it still is clear enough to start talking about Hex and analyzing some of the things we're doing well, some of the things we still need to improve. At this training session, we really talked about keeping our spacing and making sure that handlers didn't always run through, and to keep our hex shape when the middle, like the hat or the wings got it, or if the forwards got the disc, we weren't always just ploughing through if we weren't free. If you're free, yeah, go for it. But if you're not free, hold back, keep the shape, and I'll let the space be there for the hat to throw to the backs or the wings to throw to the backs, for instance. Okay, so let's have a look at this clip. So let's have a look at the general formation to start off with. We can see that we've got our hex shape. Our deeps may be a little deep maybe, but I think it's not too bad. And then we've got our hexagon shape with the hat in the middle, who's already starting to get into motion. It's quite clear that the wing has picked up the disc in this situation, and we've got our handlers who maybe need to be a little bit more active at the moment to get their defenders not looking at the disc. But at the moment, the wing is definitely looking downfield and making eye contact with this forward. And there's clearly connection here already. They're looking for that inside-out channel. And also just note at this point that there's a few defenders just all looking at the disc. Like we've got this defender who's looking at the disc, thinking that his player is not a threat at this moment in time. Same with this deep actually player as well. And what ends up happening is the inside out goes, and then Calvin is facing in this sort of direction. He can see that Alex has got made good yards on the defender that was looking at the disc, but equally so, the poach defender is now well out of position, and Choco could do a bit of dribbling as well with Calvin, who's caught the disc. Calvin takes Alex as the option because it's there, and now we've got Jade going deep. Unfortunately, the pass doesn't connect, but really should have connected in that situation. Here's a second clip. Again, we've got a hexagon. Sonny's pulled his defender a little bit deeper because giving the underspace, so it should just generate a little bit more space, which is fine. But there's Derek poaching in the lane, not marking his player, which means this big swing ends up going. And because of that big swing going and defender being out of position, now Calvin and Raymond, who are highlighted here, can do some dribbling together. Here, I think Raymond probably should look to try to make this pass. Obviously, he does look it off as a not, doesn't feel comfortable with it. Maybe it is a bit too tight, but it's something to look at. He's facing in that direction. But in the end, comes back to Calvin. And the key here is that he doesn't run forward and clog the space. He's trying to give space for the middles, but his player is poached, and Calvin recognises that really quickly and gives the disc quickly. Yeah, we're on the sideline, but as long as we get the disc off the sideline quickly, it doesn't matter if we end up on the sideline in our play. So having the disc more in a central position, I think this is a really good throw. Our formation sort of gone a little bit. We've lost this far side, and these two are on the same side of the field, but this throw is what ends up making the field open up. A nice cross cut by Jocko. I think this is actually a very valid cut in Hex. This cross cut from the wing position, especially from open side to break side. If this throw goes, it seems to open up a lot of opportunities for the offense. And then a bit of dribbling. Again, the last pass goes slightly away, but was a good idea. The next point, again, we can see our hex shape. Interestingly, this time, if you watch the hat for this cut, goes down the line, and every single person here is running away from the disc, which is what we don't want. We don't want everyone running away. I mean, the defenders are probably all inside, which is encouraging the away cut, but we can't all go away at the same time because we're defending ourselves. We're chewing up space. And that meant that Alex looks at the dump and Alex looks at the dump and Derek gets a block. Probably should have made eye contact and thrown it around a bit better rather than throwing a flat disc. It probably was open to throw it, but a bit of a miss throw. This time, same starting position. This time the hat decides to go for the dump. Probably makes a slightly better cut actually towards his defender as well, but actually gets a really small dump. So shape is good. We end up getting this really small dump, and then he's got a really small throw to Choco, the handler, or the back, and that this really small pass, because the defender got sucked in a little bit, actually makes a lot of difference. Again, we've got a defender facing towards the disc, watching. So now this little pass goes, Raymond sees the opportunity to get on the blind side of his defender. Calvin comes back into the space, but the forward pass, small forward pass goes. This forward player is currently pointing, but actually probably should be reacting to this back space at the moment because there's no force. So all of this area is free. Does react, but probably a little bit slow. Could have reacted a bit earlier. And misses the opportunity. So we reset. A bit messy now. We do have two people in a very small area, which is obviously a little bit messy, but Calvin still recognises that they're free. We should recognise when people are free, even if it's a bit messy, and still throwing them the disc. Don't look them off because they're not playing the system. Look them off because they're not free. And sees the dribbling. Again, we get a bit of dribbling going, which gives an opportunity for other people to sort out their shape a bit. And now we've got multiple opportunities here. I think Sunny should be looking at Choco here and Jade, and Alex thinking about stopping and just getting a small pass. But actually what happens is neither of those two go, which is okay. But actually a really good pass ends up going to Raymond here. So we've got the inside out as an opportunity. We've got Alex running across, and we've got this small backhand break to the middle of the field. And that actually makes us more connected when this throw goes. Has multiple opportunities. Again, defender looking at the disc allows a pop pass to go, and Jade should be looking to score. Doesn't quite get enough separation for the thrower. Makes a sensible decision. Again, we're in a reasonable shape. I mean, the hat is a little bit off center, but that's okay because they've just made a cut. Gets the disc. Again, we're looking for some dribbling. Again, Calvin coming back into the backspace. Gets the disc, gets the 1-2. The only criticism here is we've got two people now running in the same lane. This first attacker probably should put the brakes on and come back into this handler spot, and we're missing our other handler. We'll talk about that more in some of the later clips. It's a bit of a trouble here, so the disc goes back. Eventually it's checked in. Interestingly, Choco runs into the handler space and the disc goes over the top. I think that's actually not a bad option because it caused the defender to poach a little bit on him. And eventually Raymond just beats to the front corner and then gets a hammer opportunity to the far side. So the next clip. The shame with this clip is that we didn't get the start of the dribbling part between the two handlers, which works really well. I think possibly Tom has moved up a little bit too far here and is starting to challenge the lane, but actually the disc gets thrown to the hat. Defender's on the wrong side, actually a lot of times in this point the forcer doesn't get a force on. So there's something to watch out for the rest of this clip. And that's because the disc doesn't stop moving particularly. Okay, again, Tom comes into the backfield eventually. Maybe could have done it a bit earlier. Sonny has stayed in that handler position. Okay, this person, it was the wing, staying in this handler position. We don't want the handlers to run through at this point. We want to take that opportunity, especially if the defender's poaching off them. This goes to the middle. Here, should probably go with this arrow. Run forwards for this arrow. But instead, because the weight is back, goes around the outside, which is obviously less effective, less likely to get a return pass. Sees the dump early though. Again, watch the forces here. They really don't get a force on for the rest of this point. Again, force doesn't really get on. Everyone's struggling to contain. Force again. Force wasn't on initially, and then the 1-2 still trailing. So path goes. Overcommits, allowing the backhand to go to the break side. Defender caught out because of the break side throw. And then over comes around to get the right force on, and everyone just on the wrong side. And then he celebrates. So the next point, again, good initial shape. Keeps haven't quite got deep enough yet, but they head in that direction. So that's the main thing. It's keeping their players occupied. This should really go. I'm not sure why this doesn't go. Maybe the grip was wrong or misjudged the distances, but to me, that looks from that angle, it looks like it should go. Maybe the angle is deceptive. And then there's also Raymond on the far side that probably should get the disc moving too, but causes a problem holding onto the disc, and Choco ends up having to run all the way around in order just to reset the disc. This distance as well, I mean, it's not too bad at the moment, but it gets bigger, and that in a second allows players to switch. So Choco has to work hard to get the disc off in that small pass, and that's because that initial throw didn't go. You can see Tom is already pointing, saying switch, because he knows there's a player really deep, and that allows the switch to happen easily. Though saying that, it still works out because Tom steps into the lane and Alex does the clever part of running to the break, and Choco again throws a really nice break which opens up the field. See that these three players are not really concentrating on the hex shape at the moment, and they need to think about their spacing. They're all very clustered. Break goes. Something, I mean, this gets called a travel or a pick somewhere. I can't remember what it's called, but when you throw the break throw like this and it beats the defender comes across and overcommits. If you go straight away on the break throw like Choco does, even though he's half falling over, he still manages to go. Defender watching the throw go as well helps him, but this separation here is something that we need to look at and try to use a bit more often. And then this throw goes, but there is a call. I think it's a pick on these downfield players, which didn't really affect that play, to be honest. So maybe shouldn't have gone back. Now, in this point, we've lost our shape. I mean, we're still a little bit connected in the triangles here, but we're basically playing side stack now. All these players are on this side of the field, and actually it continues for a while. So we've lost our shape here. The 1-2 obviously helps, but we're basically playing side stack, someone cutting out of that side and getting the disc. Same thing happens again. Now, side stack is obviously effective in some situations, but the problem now is that Wilson got disconnected for a little bit, and that stops the flow, and that's the whole point of hex, is to make sure that flow doesn't stop. So end up having to be bailed out by a really short, harder throw. It does work, which generates the free space and Calvin gets them up the line. But that disconnection did happen in that point. Happens in this point as well, actually. Whites get a little bit of a flow going, but we end up with this sort of 5 in a line situation. So we're basically playing horizontal now. We've got 2 handlers. Most of these players are disconnected at this moment in time. Though interestingly, it doesn't take very long to get shape back sometimes. So you can see just 1 pass, 2 passes later, I think, if I remember correctly. 1 pass. We've lost connection, which is why the disc could stay still for a little bit, but we're not actually in a bad shape now. So it doesn't take long to get back to a good shape. Though in this situation, again, the shape actually goes a bit awry, and the dump goes, and everyone needs to adjust to that. Everyone's gone too far away, and apart from Tom here, the distances are too big, and they need to come back to make the shape closer to the disc. Again, though, a couple of passes later, they keep the disc. A couple of passes later, we do get back into reasonable shape again. And then this IO helps, generates a break side throw. And then the continuation is there because it was a break side throw. So it did work out in the end, but our shape was poor. Wasn't quite in the end zone, but ends up throwing a backhand, which Josh brings down. So I hope some of those clips help you visualize Hex and starting to see some of the patterns. Our spacing generally in lots of the points was a lot better. We weren't getting too close and doing like 1-2s over 1-2 meters. We were doing 1-2s over 4, 5, 6 meters, which generates a lot more downfield options and keeps our defenders a bit more honest as well. Hopefully we'll do a few more of these videos in the future with some more clips. I hope that helped. If you have any questions, then let me know.